ready to start final assembly, back to front. You want to decide which you want for the top, because we need to burnish that quick. I've had pieces that I've done that have had brands and such, and I've just highlighted that brand, and that's always kind of cool to be able to do. It's usually on bigger projects. I did a trucker wallet a long time ago now that had OK branded on it, which was really just kind of cool. So I highlighted that. I put that OK right in the side panel where you could see almost all of it fit. I'm just going to go over this with a little 400. You can feel it with your finger when you get it smooth enough. And this all is a matter of preference and how much time you want to spend doing it. I've been pretty fortunate. I get most of them figured out. I wind up having to burnish twice, and I'm usually in pretty good shape. And that's on a natural veg tan. Drum dyed veg tan leather is a little different story. It certainly doesn't come through on camera, of course. That's pretty nice. Now I gotta lay this on, and I want to go right from the edge. And I want to line up at the top. So it should be pretty close on the bottom. I'll have a little bit to trim up. But all we're going to do is these two sides, this side and this side. I want to make a mark down here. Right where that stitch line is. I don't want to glue past that. And then right away I'll just slide it over to the other side and do the same. There are two marks, and I'm just going to glue from there up. And we'll do one side at a time. We'll glue it and stitch one side at a time. And make sure you're doing the right side. And just right from that stitch line. Give that a minute to set. At the top, I don't have any room to spare. So any trim allowance I have is at the bottom. Not that I've got anything to spare at the bottom either. We got a little bit there. The only unfortunate thing about those silver marking pens is they kind of get everywhere. this out of my way. Don't worry about this. It's a different project. You'll see that in the next video. Alright, I'm going to put some Conleys on this when it's all done, just to kind of help seal it a little bit. So this first hole is already on my 1/8 inch mark. As is this bottom hole. Which does not leave me much room down there. We're going to be close. We're going to be pretty close with that bottom stitch. I'm going to go ahead and re-glue that, keep that down. It's not far enough off that I'm real worried about it. It's just a little bit. But down here I'm not going to have much room. Thought I planned that a little better with my punching my stitch marks. So I'll line up this bottom corner. Or the bottom edge, I guess I should say. That's pretty good. I'm lined up pretty good. It's just a little bit of difference on the top here. It's not going to even be noticed. Now, our leather has gotten really thick here. We're going through 4 layers. So, I'm gonna move this stuff. So I need my punching board. So I want to go in the corner. You do not have to whale that through in one hit. Trying to figure out how I'm going to do this. I've got the corner here is already punched. I will, however, have to make that through the back side because it's not going through the back yet. I want that hole to go between the pockets there. That's important to me because I think it holds it better than if you try to straddle it. Especially when this is a 3.85 spacing here. 3.85 millimeters tip to tip. If I was doing like a 5 millimeter spacing, I might try to straddle that. But I just don't think that's a good way to do it with the small punch. But I do like the length of the stitch. Alright, now we're ready to stitch. I am going to take my sharp awl, and a round awl is fine. You're not going to notice the difference when you come to these corners. And right here, because this will fit through where this thread is. That'll work. I don't like this wide spacing here. I think I'm just going to leave it though. I'm going to bind this across the top here, and there's just a really wide spacing there, but I don't really want to, I don't want to mess with it much, to be honest, because it's going to be hard enough to keep everything the way I want it. Sometimes you just run into stuff like that and you can't do anything about it. You just leave it alone. Now, since you're going through 4 layers of leather, make sure you got plenty. 4 times, and I probably added 8 inches there. Alrighty, I forgot where I left off. I know I think I said something about these hole spacing at the top. There is one little trick that you can use if you have enough different sizes of chisels. So these are the French chisels. These are a 3.85 millimeter spacing, and that was a little too close there. to the top hole. I didn't want to do it, and then I remembered, oh yeah, here's the other trick. This is a 3.38 millimeter spacing. It's a little closer spacing, but it was just enough that I was comfortable punching a hole there. And the tines are essentially the same size. So you don't really notice the difference in the tine spacing or tine size, and it's not enough difference in the spacing that you're going to notice it. But it did solve this problem. So what I'm going to do is, to start, I'm going to go in that top hole, in the very top hole, and I'm going to do a double binding stitch over the top. So I'm going to take the one coming out of the front, go over the top, in the back out the front. The back one is going to go in the front, and out the back. And when I finish up, I can lay these next to each other. I could probably lay them on top of each other. Doesn't make all that much difference really. But it'll look like that across the top. Get my other light on so I can see a little better here. And now I can just continue on stitching as normal. So you can see there where the stitch went between the pockets. Looks good. Everything's looking good so far. I'll be right back as soon as I get down to the end, and I'll show you how I finish. Before I finish, there's one step I forgot. This part down here between the pockets on the bottom, I usually like to put like a half circle in there. I don't know why. It just kind of seems to, it looks good. I don't know. It's just one of those things. Since I forgot, I'm going to have to hold it off the edge of my punch pad here. The way I do it is I'll just grab, this is a C.S. Osborne 1/2 inch round drive punch. And I just kind of fit that between the pockets there. Hold it. Give her a wrap. Come on, get out of there. It just takes a little teeny piece out, but it rounds that out just a little down here, and it looks good. It's just something that I started doing a couple of years back, and I like to do it. It looks nice. I don't necessarily think it's got to be done, of course, or I would put it on the pattern. But, you know, it's just one of those things that I do. If you don't have the punch, you can cut something like that by hand, or however you want to do it. It doesn't much matter. But I have the punch, so I just run that in there and knock that little half moon in there. And I like it that way. So I'll be back. I'm at my last hole. So now I'm just going to go back. That's one full stitch, and then this is like half a stitch. And I want to end them on the inside. Just give her a little snip. Remember, don't leave a whole bunch hanging there. Just kind of looks ugly in the end. You have to be kind of careful You can burn your leather. So I'm kind of angling it a little bit, trying to keep the fire away from the leather a bit. But just melt them down. Now, for the hard part. This side, again, you've got your mark here. So you're only gluing from that mark around. And then we'll start our gluing up here. So it will kind of take that form. So, I'm just going to make sure that my mark is in the right spot there. It is. Give that a couple seconds to set a little bit. I don't necessarily want it dried all the way, but I will be using a few clips to hold things together till I am comfortable with where it's at and it's holding together well, and get started stitching it. While that's setting up, I'm going to peel off some thread. So I'm going to start up in this corner, or on the side, I guess. And I'm lining up the bottom. It all looks pretty good. Make sure I squeeze everything together as best I can. Get my hammer out. Now I'm just going to leave it sit like this with the clips on it just for 10 minutes or so that glue has a chance to set up real well. And I'll be back when I start stitching, or when I'm ready to punch holes. Alright, I got my clips off. I think everything's going to hold together okay. I'm going to take my wing dividers and run my stitch lines. So that I have them. And again, just like on the other side here, I'm going to start in the corner and work my way up and then work my way out. So I got that extra hole punched here and the other one at the top. They just had to go through the back side, so we're all good. Just like the other side, we'll go in this top hole. Alrighty, all of the stitching is finally done. Got our stash pockets. Before I do the edges, I want to make sure I go around with this tool and go into every pocket. Go right up along the stitch line. Make sure everything is broken free. And that helps kind of form the pockets a little bit. It's always a good idea to check and make sure that your cards are going to fit. And they do just fine. So now I'm going to come along and I'm just going to take and nick that edge, nick that corner just a little bit. If I can find my knife. I might have hit the floor, which would be about par for the course. I'll just use a different knife. And it's just such a tiny little amount that I'm taking off there. You want to stay away from your thread. Make sure you don't get that. And I don't remember where I got this knife. It's a pretty cool little knife. It's a little Kiradashi style blade. It's only beveled on one side, so it's a chisel grind. And now it's just time for sanding. And you can do this with a machine, you can do it with your Dremel tool, whatever you're comfortable with. So before that I can burnish, I need to come on and do my beveling. You know, this is so much thicker, I'm going to use my craft tool number 1, I believe this is. Yep, the craft tool number 1. We'll get that first burnish out of the way. Don't expect your first burnish to be perfect. Alright, it's just going to have to set for a little bit. Make sure that the water gets dried up a bit. And we'll sand her again. Probably go once more with the 220. And then we'll hit the 400. Should be done. So I'll be back when she's ready. Final burnishing. It's pretty nice, pretty smooth. So this is the hardest area to burnish, just in case you're wondering. Gel looks pretty good. Opens. I think we ran around and release the glue. So you got to kind of go around your pockets, because you always over glue a little bit. Now I've got some water stains on here, so it's probably not going to sell this wallet, but I'll throw it in my seconds. I'll sell it for a couple bucks anyway. But there you go. Turned out pretty good. That's your bifold with the stash. Better go through those too, huh? I think I already did this though. So we're in good shape. So you can your cards will stack in. I usually will stack 2 cards in a pocket, and then you have your place for business cards or what have you back here. I keep a list of my medications in here in my wallet. But that's it. That is your bifold wallet with the stash pockets. Let me know down in the comments below if you want to see another bifold wallet without the stash pockets. So there you go. Bifold wallet with the stash pockets. Done. The burnish came out pretty nice on there, I think. I could sand that farther. You know, I'm down to 400 grit on it, and it looks pretty good. If you want to see another one of these, another wallet bifold, a different pattern, it's a free pattern from somebody else, but it says to distribute it freely, so I can do that. If you want to see a video with that one, it does not have the stash pockets, but it's a pretty slick wallet to make. It's pretty easy, it goes together pretty quick. And if you want to see that, let me know. We can certainly do that. Drop that comment below. Any questions, comments, concerns, drop them down below in the comment section. And with that being said, y'all stay safe. God bless. Stay tuned for the vertical wallet.